Well, Edward Snowden is a man without a country, holed up at the transit area of a Moscow airport.
And there's no indication the man who has America's secrets is actually preparing to leave anytime soon. And despite demands from Washington, Russia's President Vladimir Putin says he has no intention of extraditing Snowden back to the US.
So after all the speculation, this is Edward Snowden's very public hiding place, the transit terminal at Sheremetyevo Airport, north of Moscow. He's been staying here since he arrived in Russia on Sunday afternoon. Russian President Vladimir Putin revealed his whereabouts on a visit to Finland. He said he hoped the Snowden case would not increase political tension between Russia and the US.
Edward Snowden came to Russia unexpectedly. He came as a transit passenger and therefore doesn't need a visa or any other documents. He can go anywhere he wants.
Technically, there's no extradition treaty between Russia and the US. For Putin, Snowden didn't commit any crimes on his territory, and therefore there's no need to expel him. But for the US, Snowden is a wanted man, accused of treason and espionage after leaking some top-secret surveillance programs. American authorities are urging Russia to cooperate.
So we simply call on them to they don't have to enforce the law, but they certainly can allow him to be subject to the laws of our land and our Constitution, which he is a citizen of. And that's what we call on them to do. We're not looking for a confrontation. We're not ordering anybody. We're simply requesting, under a very normal procedure, for the transfer of somebody, just as we transferred to Russia 7 people in the last 2 years that they requested that we did without any clamor, without any rancor, without any argument, and according to our sense of the appropriateness of meeting their request.
And relations with China haven't fared much better. The US thinks Hong Kong officials acted on Beijing orders when they let him leave the territory. But China denies this, saying the accusations are groundless and unacceptable. The whole episode has led to calls in the US for changes to who it trusts with its secrets.
It's embarrassing that someone of this type could have been entrusted with so many secrets. It's embarrassing that someone did what he did without being detected. And then finally, at a geopolitical level, it's embarrassing that 2 countries with whom we're trying to have good relations seem to be so dismissive of American concerns, and, in my view, very legitimate American concerns.
So where next for Edward Snowden? Ecuador is currently looking at his request for asylum, and now Venezuela says they would also consider any request he made to them.
Washington has also criticised Beijing because Snowden wasn't stopped from departing Hong Kong. But the Chinese Ministry of Foreign Affairs says China acted in full accordance with the law. Snowden's next stop is said to be Ecuador. The government of President Rafael Correa is considering offering the whistleblower political asylum.
Snowden revealed earlier this month that NSA agents collect private phone and internet data at home and abroad. He's seeking asylum in Ecuador. He was expected to fly to Cuba earlier this week, but he didn't board the plane. Ecuador's Foreign Minister Ricardo Patino spoke to NHK about the case in the Malaysian capital Kuala Lumpur. He confirmed Snowden is in Russia, but he refused to say how his country will deal with the Americans' request for asylum.
U.S. officials are now tracing Snowden's computer trail after he reportedly told a Chinese newspaper he took the NSA contractor job last April for the express purpose of exposing secret programs.
If we look at what he's done, the movement to Hong Kong, taking the 4 laptops, this has been a pretty methodical approach by Snowden. So it certainly wouldn't shock me that he had planned this going in.
Officials assume that Snowden has left encoded files with allies. So if he is arrested, his secrets will still be published.